You know, if there's an award for being the most Slack content creator ever, I definitely should get it, because we're going to talk about the books that I read in October, November, December of last year, because I am behind on every part of my life right now. But let's talk about books that I don't remember reading because it's been so long, so let's do it. I've only got 7 books to talk about because I read 7 books in 3 months. It's abysmal, really. I can't believe how badly I've been doing, and I promise in 2025 I've actually been reading a lot better than I thought I would be. But let's get into it, because, you know, I just got back from Europe in September and I read so many books on the trip, and then I've come into October and I read 1 book, then I read 2 books in November, and then 4 books in December. So let's talk about it. So my 1 book in October was Bonded by Thorns by Elizabeth Helen. So I did start listening to this one on the trip in the last day of the month, just so that it had been started, because I just needed that to count for the challenge. But I got this special edition from my friend because it is gorgeous. It still needs to be hauled, and I'm sorry, but like we have, like, she's got all the different things in there, but we've got all the like characters and things, like it's kill, like we've got our other characters there too, but it's pretty. I read this because Elizabeth Helen is one of the authors coming to Babe, and I was trying to get ahead of Babe reading. At this point in time I have still only read 1 more book for Babe. Honestly, I feel like I've been doing so bad. I had so long and time's getting away from me, but I started listening to this one because I really do enjoy the audiobooks for this series. But it's Beauty and the Beast retelling, but it's a Why Choose romance, because there is 4 princes, there's 1 belle, even though her name is Rose, which I still think is a very fitting name for the character. But in the first part of the book, you know, her father's always going off on adventures and she's alone, and she works in a bookstore and she's so timid and scared of everything. And then the minute she steps foot into the Enchanted Vale, she's like brave and smart and fights against men and fights for injustice. And I'm like, who was that we first met for you to become a total different character? And this book is not written well, okay? It is not a good time in that sense, but you just stay for the shenanigans of these princes, because they all love her but they can't be with her, and there's just a lot of that going on, and they're all different, but there is just, the vibes are so good. I gave it 4 stars, and I always love a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but I am very much enjoying this series. There's going to be 7 books though, Jesus Christ, but I did find myself having to kind of ignore some of my normal feelings that I'd be like, oh my god, when I'm reading a book. Because, as I said, there is still this enjoyment factor. And I don't know why. But I am very excited to meet this author duo at Babe. I won't say much more about this book, but just, Ezran is my favourite prince. There is that, because he's like a Mandalorian, so I love him. Okay, I need to read this out because it's like not a long title, but there's just a lot of names to remember. But I read Pumpkin Spice and Poltergeist by Ali K. Mulford and K.L. Morrison. So I always forget the second author. I feel really bad because, okay, technically I read this for Babe, so I listened to the audiobook of this one as well while I was doing my Book and Boston video. You know, you can see how long this has been. So I listened to this, and then I ran out of listening hours, and then I had to wait like 2 weeks until I got my listening hours back on Spotify. But I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. It was so sapphic, it was so witchy, it was so fun. I personally took a star off because I just wanted it to be a bit longer. And I did enjoy the idea that the main character brings the ghost back of her ex-girlfriend, and then her ex-girlfriend starts getting jealous and turning a bit poltergeisty when there is a new girl, because I can't remember anyone's names because it's been so long since I read this book, but there is jealousy, there's magic. The one that comes into town, like her sister works there, and they're both humans, so obviously the one with the ex-girlfriend ghost is a witch. And basically, like, her sister is beloved in this town because of her coffee shop, and then the one that's come in is really clumsy and isn't really doing a great job, and there's just heaps of beings in this town. It's just, it was cute. Like, I'm not saying I didn't like this book, I really did. I just could have enjoyed a deeper plot. Like, there needed to be a little bit more written in there. But I'm also really excited because I'm getting a really pretty edition from Babe. Like, you can't even wait, man, because I have pre-ordered so much stuff. There is going to be an epic book haul when it happens. I will try and film it as soon as I finish it, Babe. so that it's actually available for everyone and not 6 months late. Then I read The Games That Gods Play by Abigail Owen, and oh my fucking god, this book, it's been my favorite Celestial Book Club pick. But also, I loved it so much. Like, it's been a while since the book has moved me so much. Like, you just find books that you just really latch onto, and I would say the last one would have been Fourth Wing. But these characters and just, oh, like, it's so interesting. So it's all the gods are real, and they're in this town that's kind of like modern, but also ancient, and there's a competition every 100 years to pick who's going to be the head god. So 12 gods go into the competition, and they have to pick a victor to play in their stead to go through all of these challenges, because there's like 12 challenges and trials and stuff. And then for the first time ever, Hades goes into the competition and picks the main character. So there are 13 tributes. They're not called tributes, but that's what we're calling them right now because I cannot remember. And yeah, basically our main character, what's her name? I already forget who everyone is. Why do they not say the name of the person on the frickin', is it like Lila? It's something like that. We're gonna call her Lila. I can't find it. So she is like having this fun friendship with Hades, but then it starts to lead into something a little bit more, which is really fun as well, because, you know, Hades is always with Persephone. So it's very different to have a series where Persephone is not a character. But the challenges are fun, the romance was great. I just heavily enjoy this book, and yes, it is giving Hunger Games, but I just find a deadly competition seems to get the blood flowing, and there was some shocking moments in this book that I didn't see coming. I also listened to the audiobook because audiobooks have been my friend lately. Like, it's literally all I seem to do is listen to audiobooks, but I've been buying the physical copies because I like to see my book club picks in a row or together. Like, any sequels from these series I don't think I'm going to buy. I'm just going to listen to the audiobooks, because every single book club pick I've audiobooked, because it's the only way that I can keep up with it and actually read it in time. But I filmed a book review and I still haven't uploaded it because I've been having to upload vlogs and end of year content, so it's filmed. So there will be so many more thoughts, and I talk very in depth about things that I really enjoyed in this book, because it was my second favourite book of last year, even though it was out of 30 something books, but it was still my second favourite. It almost pretty much tied with Fourth Wing. That's how much I loved this, and I recommend this to anyone because it's just such a good time, and I really want the sequel, but it's going to be out like at the second half of the year, and I'm like, it's so long away. Then I finished reading Covert by Tracy Wolff. So this is the third book in the Crave series, and I haven't picked up the series since because I was trying to finish a different book on my lunch break. So I literally took 3 months to read this book by reading 20 pages a day. It's like a struggle, but what's actually changed now for my work schedule is it only started last week, but I'm taking half-hour breaks on all of my shifts so that I don't have to work my 1 4-hour shift a fortnight. So now I only work 9 days a fortnight, so I have an extra day off. And yesterday was my birthday, and it was the first day that I actually had off in my new schedule. So I actually get to have 2 days off in a row every week instead of every fortnight. And I am going to try and get this video uploaded as close to my birthday as possible, because my birthday is the 6th of March, and it's not like everyone needs to be like, happy birthday at me. Like, it's fine, but I like feel weird. I'm 27, I feel old, but also just excited, because like, when I was like 22, life was very depressing. I wasn't doing anything. I didn't have friends. I wasn't making plans. And now I have so many plans with all my friends. Like, I feel happy and content in my life. And I just had a good day yesterday. Like, I had a really fun birthday. I went shopping with mum, and then I went out to dinner. But yes, so the main thing is my schedule has changed. And yes, I haven't continued on with the series. I will. I have 3 more books to go, but I promise I will. But I feel like we got a lot of information. Like, it's the 3rd book, so I can't really talk too much about it, but there was a lot of different information that we were getting about the characters. Hudson has become my favourite character, and the development with Grace and Hudson as they really start to realise that they are very special to each other. I love that so much. But there's other things happening with characters in the background that you're starting to get a bit concerned about. Oh, my washing's on the line, and it just started raining, and I'm really depressed. Oh, that's really annoying, but I want to finish filming because I'm going to go out to lunch with my dad today, because I went out with mum yesterday and dad felt left out, so we're going to go out for coffee today so that I've had fun time spent with him. But I can't talk too much about it, but I am loving the series, and it definitely went in a different direction than I thought it was. And it's been so long since I've read a series this long that it's like the slow burn of so many things is really getting to me, but I am very much enjoying it. Then I read Woven by Gold by Elizabeth Helen. So I have continued on with the series, but I have only read up to book 2. Like, there's 2 more books available on Audible, and then the other 3 have to get released. But I did really enjoy the general direction of this story, but like, something that really bothers me is there has been sexual scenes, but no like all the way. And something to know, because I feel like you should know this, is there is a lot of times when there is kissing and then it's like, there may be, and then it doesn't happen. And then maybe, and then it doesn't happen. And then maybe, but then it doesn't happen. And this is over the course of 4 different men. There's, oh, no. Sorry. Like, I like the book, but my fucking God, it was... It bothered me, okay? And I feel like I know the reason why they're waiting for it to happen for certain circumstances, but I'm like, fuck me. Like, I don't want to deal with that. But I'm liking where the story's going. I liking that there's another character, because there's the 4 princes, but then there's also the King of Thorns. That's an interesting character that we keep seeing pop up, and I'm like, you intrigue me as well. So I'm enjoying. I can't really talk too much about this. I'm like, I really hope that's not a spoiler, because I just need to know my frustrations, okay? And just to be aware that just don't trust anything. But I am excited for book 3, but I've been very much having to listen to other books at the moment, but I do want to get to it as soon as I can, and I really want the Fairy Loot editions that match the first book, and my friend is hopefully going to buy them for me, and then I can transfer her the money. But like, they're so pretty. I really need to continue on the series, but I am enjoying. Frustration is still high, but enjoying. Then I read Angel's Mask by Jessica Mason. So this is a Phantom of the Opera retelling, because it's been my life since I went to London and saw it, because I never knew that this was going to be my favourite musical ever and be the most important thing, apparently, because I've just been still non-stop listening to the soundtrack. I've watched the 25th anniversary, I've watched the movie, I've watched the mini TV show that was made in 1990, like I've been just taking all the media. I have Roseblood, which I didn't even know was a Phantom of the Opera retelling, so I've got to reread that book at some point. But on TikTok, I saw this author who marketed this trilogy as, what if Eric was finally chosen? And I was like, yes, so I bought it. Instantly read it, but then I got really behind and I'd only read like 2 chapters, so I think I did bring this as my lunch break book to try and get it finished. And at first, okay, because this is like Phantom of the Opera, but way more sex than you would expect in so many circumstances. So at first, I had the major ick, because I'm just like, I just feel like the Phantom wouldn't be like the king of sex, you know? Like, there just feels like he is like horrified by what people think of him, and every time he shows his face to someone they run away screaming. So I'm just like, where's the experience to have? Like, that's my thought, because that's literally what they say. He's like, I've never known the joys of the flesh. That's the lyric. But Christine is kind of really fucking annoying in this book too. But as I kept going with the book, I started to kind of ignore that. There's been a lot of reads in this video where I'm just like, they're not good, but there is enjoyment. It is taking the story very slowly. Like, by the end of this book, we literally only just had her going down to the lair in the song Phantom of the Opera, and like having the mask reveal, obviously important, but like for anyone that knows the musical, it's going very slowly. And I have read the second book, and we will talk about this in a previous video, but I'm saying I like the second book more because the development of their relationship is done really well. But even by that second book, you only have just gotten to the masquerade ball. So I'm very much liking so much more background, so much more development, seeing all the characters and just seeing how things are coming about. I'm finding that very interesting. But I would only recommend reading this if you actively have an obsession with Phantom of the Opera, because I feel like the only way you would get true enjoyment out of it is having a real obsession with the musical. But I would recommend, but it is independently published and I did buy it on Amazon. I'm glad there's a paperback version of it, but I don't think there's audiobooks, but I am still very happy I've read this. And then I read A Fire in the Sky by Sophie Jordan, and this is another book club pick, and my god, there has been a habit of us picking the shittiest book. We pick our own book for the book of the month, like they give us 4 options and then we vote. This was just like, it's been so long I actually can't remember why I don't like this book, but like, it was so dumb. It was meant to be really cool. There's a royal family, and basically she was adopted into the family as a child, and she becomes the whipping girl for the family. So she's not related by blood, but whenever the children, like the 3 daughters, makes a mistake, she gets in trouble for it. Like Tamsin is her name, so she gets whipped and hurt and given punishment, so to try and teach the royal family that you shouldn't do this thing because your sister's gonna get whipped. And she's actually very beloved in this family, but then there is this like dude from the borderlands that comes in wanting to marry one of the daughters. So of course the king's like, well, send in the whipping girl. And she gets put in the situation of like, they get married and she has a mask on and a veil, and they basically have to like, you know, consummate the marriage, because like adult books do these things now. They don't just say, nah, we're not going to do this, but basically they consummate and they have a night of passion, and then he realizes she's not one of the princesses and then he hates her. So this is information you need to know, that it goes from lust to hate to love, and then they're making their way back to the kingdom, and obviously there's dragons. But I just hated the way that the plot just really was inconsistent, and we kept jumping between things, and the emotions of people were just very different. Like Tamsin has a self-sacrificing mentality because she's a whipping girl, but then sometimes she would try to be like different and then she wasn't, and I was just like, I hated that. And I didn't really like him, and like, as I said, as I was reading this, I had so many more issues with this book and now I can't remember, but there was just, you know, it wasn't very deep. Like, it could have been deeper. And the hate to love wasn't done incredibly well in my opinion. Obviously, if you want to read a book about dragons, do pick it up to experience it, but this is the problem. If I have a hate read and it takes me 4 months to film a video about it, I can't remember. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend. But dragons is always a good thing. Dragons is always a good thing, but it just wasn't done well. So anyway, the physical collection of books that I've read, like, I own way too many that this is not making a dent whatsoever, but I did have some good books. Like, I really enjoyed the games that Gods Play though. Like, it was so entertaining and so good. As always, my camera's running out of battery because I never charge the batteries apparently, but I do hope you enjoyed this wrap up. I feel like I've just like gone on about crap. I hope you enjoyed this because it's been a while. Like, I always say that it's too long since I've done, like, I don't stand here very often in my life anymore. But I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!